Hello and welcome back to Worthwhile. In fact, welcome myself back because I have seemed to have gone missing over here. It's been a minute since I've recorded one of these and posted it, but there is good reason. Thank you, first of all, to so many of you who have sweetly checked in, making sure all is well, which it is, and also for asking when a new episode is coming. That made me smile. I'm so glad to share these with you and truly grateful that they're encouraging to you and that you look forward to them. It's just wonderful. Well, here's why I've been gone. We are expecting our fifth baby. I found out that we have a little surprise baby on the way, and it about wiped me out there for a few weeks, along with regular life and the end of school and events and everything all at the same time. So, yes, I've been gone, but it's super exciting, and we're so thankful. We already did the early test, and we know that we're having a boy, which gives us our fourth son, along with our one sweet daughter. What a gift. What a blessing. We are completely thrilled. It's been really fun. My kids are currently 9 down to 4. But by the time the baby gets here in December, Lord willing, the kids will be 10 to 5 age range. And then there's going to be a 5-year age gap plus the new little one. So just wonderful. The Lord is so kind and so good, and we're thankful that He's entrusting us with another little boy for the kingdom. So thank you for rejoicing with me. And that's where I've been. I am beginning to feel quite a bit better, which has been awesome. There were just a few weeks there where I couldn't even think about sitting here and trying to hold it together through a podcast. But yes, I am here and I'm back, and I'm really excited to be back and to continue doing these episodes, which leads me into what I want to talk about today. So I want to really start off by being clear that this is not a definitive, I'm not making rules here that all good Christians need to follow or anything like that. But what I would like to do is open up our thoughts and our minds to think through this topic in a distinctly Christian way. And that is sharing and announcing the expected arrival of a new child, pregnancy announcement. It's become really ingrained in our culture to keep this wonderful news to ourselves until the end of the first trimester, usually, when the risk of miscarriage statistically goes down. And this seems to be common among the church and even among really pro-life Christian communities. And why? I know that there are really good reasons to keep that personal and private. So I'm in no way trying to put guilt on somebody who's decided to wait or keep their news to themselves. There's a myriad of reasons why, and that's wonderful. But our culture at large, it seems like as Christians, we can be a light that is distinctly and uniquely Christian in this particular area. We know life begins at conception. We know that a child is a gift from the Lord. And then we proceed to follow a broken culture that tells us it's weird or wrong to share about the baby before it's more viable. In a lot of situations, people just, I think, don't think through it. And really, my goal with this episode isn't to convince every woman to announce her pregnancy immediately. Not at all. It's more that I would love, so love, to see our churches become places where women feel free to rejoice openly over new life from the very beginning, and where that joy is welcomed and shared instead of being treated as premature or unwise. I would love to see older women and other mothers come alongside young women in that excitement too. Not looking down their noses at them for being hopeful or eager, but encouraging them, rejoicing with them, and reminding them that this little life truly is a gift from the Lord. And I'm really grateful that the community and church that we are a part of has been just amazing. They have embraced this fully, but I think that is quite rare. I'll start with some personal thoughts and experience. As soon as we found out about this little child, my husband and I, asked each other when we should share the news. And it was so exciting to us, but it's uncommon to share early, and part of me was a little bit nervous. It's a very vulnerable thing to share when we have experienced early losses in our last couple of pregnancies, but we believed strongly that this child is a unique gift, and we're grateful and honored to share what the Lord has done. Second, we're in a church that is constantly striving to have families in our community living in fellowship as the body of Christ and a church family. And what a sweet thing to be able to share this news with our people right from the beginning. The very people who love us, they pray for us, they rejoice with us, and would also walk alongside us in sorrow if the Lord called us to that. That's really the kind of church culture I hope we continue building, one where new little lives are welcomed and rejoiced over from the earliest moments. And of course, if the Lord were to bring us through another loss, He would be with us in that and remain steadfast and faithful, and that ultimately, whatever He brings us through would be used for His glory. So it was a decision of trusting the Lord, rejoicing in what He's given us, and going forth eagerly. Our current culture wants us to keep quiet about our baby until it's more certain that this child will be met this side of heaven. Well, right there is enough for me to want to shout it from the rooftops at 5 weeks or early, whatever we found out that this child is a gift. We're rejoicing and grateful for every moment we have with this little person. Their heart begins beating in the first 6 weeks. They have little fingers and toes and eyelids. This is a developing child with an eternal soul. What a witness to our culture about the true nature of a tiny baby when we rejoice and give thanks in front of everyone for a little poppy seed-sized child. I remember with my first baby, we shared early then too, and someone asked how far along I was, and I said, whatever, 5 weeks or something. And they said, "Oh, wow, you're barely pregnant." And I remember being young, but thinking, that's the strangest comment because I'm early, yes, but I'm fully pregnant. I'm not waiting to find out if this is going to be a baby. It is a baby. And I think sometimes right now, young mothers almost feel embarrassed for being excited too early, as though loving and rejoicing over their child immediately is somehow naive. But as Christians, why would we hold back joy over a gift from God? Even in those very early days, this little person is fearfully and wonderfully made by the Lord. And really, what I want to say clearly is faithfulness can and will look vastly different here for different circumstances. So I am in no way trying to narrow this. I just want us to think about it. There are women carrying deep grief or recent loss or just difficult circumstances, or simply it can be just a tender heart towards those early weeks. Or I know some ladies they're just pretty miserable those first few weeks. It's not a time that they're going out and really making much of an appearance. So choosing privacy for a time here is not wrong. It's not necessarily fearful or less faithful in any way. This is simply an encouragement to think through these things in a distinctly Christian way and let ourselves stand out. We should not be afraid to stand out to the world in this area. Make your decision with your husband, of course, in faith, and truly pray about this. Offer this season and this little child to the Lord and ask Him to guide you in wisdom as you carry your baby in our current culture. Ask Him to strengthen you, to give you peace, and to help you walk in faith instead of fear, whether that means sharing openly right away or just holding on to things quietly for a little bit. The goal here isn't to follow some rigid expectation. That is, I hope I've been clear, not at all what I'm trying to set here, but to think and live distinctly as Christians with our hearts and hopes submitted to the Lord and being a light to our current world and culture. With the pregnancy before this one, we did decide to wait just a short time since it was really recent to our first loss, and it wasn't long after that we lost that little one as well. But that time it was private, and in that case, I was grateful to go through that in a less public setting. But what I found with our first loss that did come after our announcement was the comfort and love of a congregation that cares. They care so deeply. And there's no polished way to go through grief. It's painful. It's uncomfortable. It's lonely a lot of times. And we could do a whole other episode on that and on loss. But the point is not to have some performing strength for others, but to turn to the Lord together in both joy and sorrow, and to have faith that rejoicing and giving thanks for the gift that He's given you right now should be where our attention is at. So it's one thing to spend a lot of time talking about hospitality and fellowship among families as we get to know each other, and that's all good. But one of the things that my husband and I talked about when we were deciding this is if we keep everything at surface level, we're missing the whole point. We're missing the depth of truly sharing life together, of growing through things together, of lifting one another up in trials and being comforted by the saints among us when we need it. I've really seen such a beautiful glimpse of this recently, because when we did announce, so many young ladies, from young girls up through the teens and college age, they responded with such genuine joy and excitement in congratulating us. And it was not necessarily ladies that I've spent a lot of, or girls that I've spent a lot of time with, but the brightness in their eyes and their excitement was so lovely. And they just were so delighted in a new life. And it was encouraging me to think about what we're giving our own children with a culture like this. And of course, it's a very narrow culture where we're doing this, but they're growing up surrounded by a community that doesn't just say, we love babies, we love life, we're pro-life, but they're seeing it being celebrated from the very beginning at all different ages, from strangers, from other kids, from families, from adults, from the older women. And that kind of shared life together is going to create such a deeper and more genuine friendship and fellowship amongst each other. And yes, while it is painful to be the one walking through loss, there's also a strengthening that happens in the body when others see a believer turn their eyes to the Lord and walk faithfully through a trial. The Lord uses it to draw us closer to Christ personally, and also to build up and strengthen the whole body of believers as we carry these things together. So take all of this and please let it be simply something you think about. It doesn't have to become and shouldn't become a strict obligation. I just hope that it may encourage you to reset a broken and wrong culture, to step out in faith and rejoice openly for the gift you have today, and consider the beauty of a church culture where new life is welcomed early and celebrated without hesitation, where women feel free to rejoice, and where the whole body shares in that joy from the very beginning. And may that cause our churches to be strengthened in their faith, to grow deeper in fellowship, and to become a light to the world as a church who loves the children that God has given us for as long or as short as we have them, trusting Him in both joy and sorrow, and turning our eyes to Christ together in every season. I pray this episode blesses and encourages you and finds you well. Thank you for sticking around, and for all of you who are sharing these episodes among friends. Wow, there's been so much feedback in the weeks that I've been apparently gone. And I'm so grateful and love that you guys are sharing these with each other and with friends and family, and that they're bringing you a lot of encouragement. So I'm really blessed by that. I love hearing the stories of how these impact you and enjoy getting those messages. Feel free to send me an email or message on Instagram. I can link those two things in the show notes. I thought about putting a text number in the show notes for questions, comments, all of that. Let me know if that would excite you, if that would be something that would maybe be an easier way to sort of bring about some fun new episodes. I do look forward to a handful of the upcoming guests that I have in the works, and we have some talks on hospitality to share as well as some homeschool topics and lots of exciting things. And I look forward to sharing all of those with you soon. May the Lord richly bless you as you go out and serve your families in all of the small, yet very big ways.